So I think that there is, definitely there were times when I thought dating was not fun, and I learned how to make it fun.
I need to learn that.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a class for that, and there's ways to make it more fun for yourself, because it actually, if you wanna find a partner, it's probably gonna become your part-time job.
Unless you hire a matchmaker. Sincerely, then we take that part-time job on for you.
Or your hobby, if you want to put a more positive spin on it, just something that you enjoy going out and doing, meeting people. Which, as I said, I'm a natural introvert, so I didn't particularly enjoy going out and meeting people, but I learned how to enjoy it.
I like meeting people, I just don't like meeting.
It's not as different as you think, okay? But we put all these things onto dating, we take it so seriously that it becomes much more difficult than meeting people. Okay, so we put this overlay on this very serious, this date, whether it's gonna go well or not. And that is what a part of what makes it not fun. So most people, if they, in a social setting, if they think you're interesting but not interesting enough to become best friends with you, that's not difficult, you just don't connect again. But in dating, that's very difficult, it's very painful. It doesn't have to be. It's like, okay, I went out with this guy 3 times, it's not happening. I'm gonna go find somebody it's happening with. But we live in this world of scarcity that, like, I can never find anyone else. Of course you can, there's 10 million people here. It doesn't have to be painful, it doesn't have to be a waste of time. It could be, if I'm practicing becoming a more loving person, it could mean I'm expanding myself. I'm letting people be who they are. I went out with them for a couple months, ghosted me, wasn't into me anymore. That's fine, I really want to be with somebody who's really into me. Thank God it didn't go longer. Yes, it feels a little painful, but do I have to dramatize that?
I think it ties back to 7 or 6 or something about falling for strangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you invest the time in the logistics and when you're seeing them and this and that, whatever, and so you build it up in your mind, and then after the 3rd date, it seems like rejection, but it's like meeting someone and it didn't work out. You know?
We're taught that, and we are, as girlfriends and as guy friends, we encourage each other to continue viewing it this way. Because you'll call and you go, yeah, I really liked him, but then he didn't call me, and then you'll go, what an asshole. Okay, and we don't have to see it that way at all. We choose to perpetuate that sort of unloving attitude towards people just not becoming our best friend, because basically you're looking for your best friend you sleep with, right? So this person didn't want to become your best friend, that's okay. Because most people we're not going to be best friends with. I remember, I quoted Ann Richards. Anybody remember her, that wild governor of Texas? I loved her. She was just really flamboyant. She was a recovered alcoholic. She said, I have to meet 100 people to meet 2 or 3 that I really connect with. And I always remembered that guiding me through the dating process of like, that's okay, because that's certainly true in my social life. You go out, you meet 100 people, you become best friends with one of them, if you're lucky. How many best friends do you have in your life? 3, 4, 5? So for example, I would start, when I started my dating process, I was like everyone else. I would meet someone from online, I'd sit down and I'd go, oh God, this is gonna be horrible. And then instead what I started learning to do was, I'm going to become a person who's going to sit and find out what's lovable about this person. I'm going to use this as a spiritual development, personal and spiritual development, to become a more loving person. I had taken other kinds of workshops and trainings and so on about looking beyond the person's exterior, and I'm going to sit and, whether this person is going to end up being my beloved or not, I'm going to practice becoming a more loving person and use the dating process to do that. So I was really, non-prejudiced in my normal life, very open to all kinds of people, just like other people were saying. In dating, I wasn't. My list was ridiculous. One of the things I wouldn't even consider anyone who smokes. Greg smokes.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, but I was so rigid that I was like, nobody who, on our dating sites, I was like, nobody who smokes should even say hello to me. Right? Or nobody who does X and X and X and X should even say hello to me. Anybody else guilty of that? Maybe you don't want to say. Okay?
Can I?
So I just want to say that if you notice how you're unloving, you can, if you want to be the kind of person who becomes more loving, then it is a journey.
I was just gonna say on my list was on my list was not Muslim. That was part of my rule internally for lots of reasons. And it turns out I've met the most wonderful Muslim man who's extremely loving and makes my life much better. So.
And you probably wouldn't have had a no Muslim friends rule.
Never.
But in dating, it's like, no, that won't work for me.
Oh, okay, so that's why I don't like apps, is because you have to put everyone in boxes, right? And you don't know like what you have chemistry with and what you're attracted to and whatever. But when you have certain standards, and I'm the same way, like I exercise every day and the guy can't smoke or whatever. That said, when I think about the 4 people I've been in love with in my life, one of them was a serious smoker. So how do you not settle but keep an open mind? You know what I mean? It's like a fine line between your standards and your values and what's important to you versus and not settling versus not being closed-minded and not living in a loving way.
Yes, and this often comes up, and I would like everyone to consider what this concept of settling means. We've been all told we shouldn't settle. I'm going to feel good about myself and not settle. What does that actually mean?
Sounds like there's a value judgment.
Huh?
Sounds like there's a value judgment.
It's definitely a value judgment. It means I should choose someone I'm not going to be happy with.
Yeah.
Who said anything about that? Nothing I'm saying says anything about choosing someone you'd be unhappy with. But the culture is always telling you that some people you have to settle to be with. Do you have that concept for friends? Why do we have this concept of settling in love? Because it's not about love, it's about shopping. It's about treating people unkindly. Because that we even have a concept of settling. People say to me, does that mean I have to be with someone I'm not attracted to? Who said anything about that? Maybe you're attracted to a lot more people than you think. And if you get away from the cultural ideal of who you're supposed to be attracted to, maybe you find a lot more people attractive. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be a lot more fun? To sit and just think what's attractive about this guy. He's not particularly the cultural ideal, but you know, I'm gonna secretly think he's hot. I'm not gonna do anything about it. It's kind of fun to be flirtatious like that. Find out what's hot about this guy. You know, one of my dating coach said the first time I met with him, he said, you know, I treat a 10 fashion model, you know, guys do this ranking, I guess women do it too now. I treat a 10 fashion model the same way I treat a homeless guy on the bench. I went, wow, I aspire to that. I aspire to that bodhisattva quality, that saintliness. Because that's going to show up in your dating, that you're not treating someone who's the cultural ideal differently or more lovingly than someone who is a person. Just like you and me. So we cultivate these qualities of being able to be more loving, treat people more lovingly. It's so interesting to me, and this is one of my main things I'm trying to help people see, is that we're looking for love in ways that encourage us to be unloving. The whole modern dating process is encouraging an unloving attitude. None of us want to be an unloving person. Most of us grew up with good values, but we're encouraged to go out into the dating world and become mean. Mean people. whole dating process as it's set up is mean, and that's one reason it's not any fun. Because you're being asked to treat people like they're used tissues. You're being asked to be treated as if you're just one of three that somebody's sleeping with. You're being asked to, that your feelings don't matter, and that the only thing of value about you is how close you are to a fashion model. This is so difficult. This is so unloving. This encourages us to be the kind of people who then cannot find love. Is that any surprise? Because the kind of behavior that's being rewarded is unloving. So every bit of loving that we can cultivate in ourselves is going to show up in what vibration is attracted back to us.